Well, welcome once again to the Legion of Reason. I'm your host, the Supreme Reverend Dr. Andy Tyson. I'm joined this evening by Twyla, the feisty Twyla. I haven't called you that in a while. Yeah.
Hey, I earned that title.
Yeah, you did. And yeah, that's the thing. Somebody gave that to you, actually. I just made up mine.
A homeopath.
Totally narcissistic. Yeah, it was. Yeah, so a bunch of regressive leftist stuff tonight. If you've been following the Facebook page at all, and you should, you would know that late in June, photojournalist Andy Ngo was covering the violence that Antifa, particularly in Portland, their violent activities, and he was attacked, kicked, punched, had people were using silly string and milkshakes, of course, and throwing other things at him. They singled him out because they recognized him, and what happened was he ended up in the hospital. He had a small brain hemorrhage and was he had to spend the night in the hospital and went home afterwards. And if you ever watched any of his post-attack interviews, he is, very out of it. I suspect there's a fair number of analgesics that he was prescribed, and it certainly had an effect on his cognitive abilities. And it's it's been a bit of a wake-up call for journalists and stuff. Here's the Reason magazine had a blurb on this that's called "Antifa Mob Viciously Assaults Journalist Andy Ngo at Portland Rally." And the police didn't intervene. They were there. They were calling to Andy to cross through this crowd of Antifa to get to them, instead of actually intervening directly and getting him to safety. And there's, of course, that led to speculation that the mayor of Portland, Ted Wheeler, who is also the commissioner of police, tell me that isn't a conflict of interest. I mean, that's historically been the case in Portland, but I think they need to end that. The two are not, it's one could conflict with the other, and I think they need to visit getting rid of that. But anyway, I'll just read a bit here from Reason magazine. Andy Ngo, a photojournalist and editor at Quack, landed in the emergency room after a mob of Antifa activists attacked him on the streets of Portland during a Saturday afternoon demonstration. The assailants wore black clothing and masks, helmets as well, by the way. They don't mention that, and were engaged in a counter-protest against several right-wing groups, including the Proud Boys. Ngo is a well-known chronicler of Antifa activity and has criticized their illiberal tactics on Fox News. It's just sad that it's Fox that is covering this, and the mainstream, CNN or MSNBC, until now hadn't covered it really at all. He attended the protest in this capacity as a journalist covering a notable public event. According to Ngo, his attackers stole his camera equipment, but footage recorded by another journalist, Jim Ryan from the Oregonian, clearly shows an Antifa activist punching Ngo in the face. Others throw milkshakes at him. There was also somebody who kicked him, but you can see it in the video. Here, I'll just actually show the video. Boom. And, this is just despicable. And, they recognized him. They singled him out. And you can see police are kind of like nowhere. And, okay, there's also an asshat in a helmet. One guy's still throwing stuff at him. Cowardly. I mean, you show your face if you're can't. Yeah, just it makes me angry to no end.
Well, I think he was singled out because
Oh, totally. They
he's
recognize
known.
Yeah, he's known.
Yeah, he's recognizable. The Proud Boys sprayed them with bear mace, and officers put a counter-protester in the hospital, tear gas canister lodged in his skull. There were scuffles on both sides. The one
that was
article.
a different incident. I think that was a different incident. I think that Antifa and the Proud Boys were well separated, so they needed somebody to, to attack. And he wasn't the only one. There were a couple other people that got caught up in it.
Well, the thing is, they keep arranging these things, and of course, this stuff keeps happening. So. Why? Why do they keep arranging this and inviting each other to them?
Well, who's inviting them? I mean, nobody's inviting Antifa or the Proud Boys. They just, as long as you have a permit, and Antifa, by the way, had no permit.
Well, when I asked about facing up to the yellow vesters here, I asked if I need my own permit, and they said no.
Yeah,
there was already a permit for
it's a city
the time.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't need a permit, and they wouldn't have either. They do quite widely advertise these things. So of course, counter protesters show up every single time.
And what's what they want, right? They want the
So of course, there's going to be stuff that goes down. It's inevitable. What's bad is both sides are completely over the top hurting each other.
Really similar.
Yeah, you can't. I'm pretty sure you can't tell them apart. So this is getting absolutely ridiculous. And now this guy's badly injured. So who looks the worst? Like Antifa, anti-fascist, whatever. I don't know if they even call themselves that. They look like a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, they do call themselves that. They probably display it on flags, and they just. Honestly, I don't think that they're really there to counter protest. I think they're there to just make trouble. I don't think that they have any goals.
If you look at the Proud Boy and Noah's activity online, Noah has posted some really horrible things that is very racist, and as do no. He's a Twitter guy. Yeah, he's on Twitter. He has about 200,000 followers, so he's the one that advertises these things. He posts all kinds of horrible racist crap. He's on the Proud Boy side. He is essentially a Proud Boy.
I'm not so sure about that.
Oh, he might as well. He says the same things and acts the same way.
And he's investigated the rise of Islamic extremism in Britain.
And people
are saying that he's anti-Muslim, which is not actually.
Well, no, he embellished. People were countering his claims. He really embellished on that.
And
so,
people are saying this is what Andy wanted, which I don't think is true.
Well, I'm sure he didn't want to get brain damaged.
Yeah. And
nobody wants that, but he does want to make a show. He wants attention. He wants to make Antifa look bad. And
Antifa makes themselves look bad. Let's face it.
Yeah, and then they take the bait. Good job, guys.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even if it's true, you lived up to his expectations. Congratulations. I mean, that's you're
so
as scummy as he says.
Everybody goes out there to fight, and what do they do for anything? Nothing good is getting accomplished here. Stop it.
I don't think Antifa is interested in doing anything good. I really don't think they're interested in that.
Yeah, if it's, I don't know which group it is.
That's what I want to know. I bet you they can't even define it.
I didn't look up a lot on the group. Like, I'm not sure it's just one group protesting the right wingers, the racism and everything else.
The Proud Boys are white nationalists. They're scummy too, but
they're basically Klan members.
But when Antifa does this, they put the crosshairs on themselves.
Yep.
Congratulations, like we're not even going to. Nobody's going to listen to a message that is delivered with violence. Mayor Ted Wheeler, who is also the commissioner of police, which is, I think, ridiculous, and the Portland Police Association president respond to violence at the protests. And of course, as it seems to be all too common these days, press releases are delivered via Twitter, which I think is silly. Portland police. Oh yeah, the milkshake things with the quick drying cement, probably not true. We're still not sure about that, but it's almost.
But he still got injured. He still got badly injured.
But so when news organizations, they got that wrong, and as if that was the whole take-home message, I'm like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
They got it wrong. So what? Andy still ended up in the hospital, and there you go. It didn't change anything.
Yeah, and I read in that one article, the rallies are specifically organized for the purpose of violence, with makeshift weaponry and bloodied, tearful faces appearing in Portland with regularity over the years. HuffPost has reported on how far-right extremists who organize them meticulously plan to attack their ideological opponents. Well,
yeah, HuffPost's piece on this was disgusting. Let's just go to that, because where is it?
They're not the only ones, obviously.
Here it is. Yeah, far-right extremists wanted blood in Portland streets. Once again, they got it.
Yeah, this was very one-sided article.
Oh, it was just a hit piece. I mean, okay. Saturday's violence wasn't an outlier. It was guaranteed. No, it wasn't.
Pretty much.
Guaranteed. There's no guarantee.
Both sides brought weapons. Both sides hate each other. Both sides want to go to arms
that doesn't guarantee anything. They don't have to commit violence. That's what my point is. There's nothing
happens
guaranteed.
Every time, every single year. It's predictable.
Doesn't matter. It's
They're
not
still going to do it.
Guaranteed, because guarantees means it must be so, and it doesn't have to
show up with all this. They bait each other and show up with weapons every single year.
So what?
It's going to happen.
So what? You don't have to commit.
Sure, they don't have to, but they set each other up for it.
Doesn't matter. That does not matter. It is. You know what? You take the bait. That is still on you, because you don't have to.
Yeah.
And that's what bothers me about this. And here, it's been happening on the same streets, hosted by the same far-right extremist groups on a regular basis since the election of Donald Trump. Seriously? This is all Donald Trump's fault, apparently.
Oh, no.
Come on.
I'm sure it was before that.
Oh, who knows? I'm just going to go down to this other part here, because here they talk about Quillet's article that I love this. This is just shit reporting. After the incident, some on Twitter pointed to a recent story in Quillet authored by a fake extremism researcher who claimed that a number of journalists covering, I love the scare quotes on that. Who's he quoting? Covering the far right were unethically affiliated with Antifa. That's not what the article said. The article is talking about journalists who egg Antifa on. That's what the article was talking about. No. Just this Quillet. No, did not write that article. That was written by someone.
No, but he's one of the people they wrote about.
Isn't
it?
No. We're talking. They're talking about extreme left people. And
extreme left reporters.
Yes. And they are egging on Antifa.
I don't even know why Antifa exists if they're gonna get baited every single time.
It's because it's like the Black Bloc. It's almost exactly the same as Black Bloc. They're just making trouble, and that's it. That's it. There's no goal. There's nothing. There's no reason for them to do it other than that they can.
Well, and in every article I read, there were no goals. I mean, they show up, they fight, they go home, people get hurt. Like, there's absolutely no reason, no goal, nothing ever gets accomplished. So, why?
And so
why do they even bother?
So this author of this HuffPo piece of crap is making a complete mischaracterization of the Quillette article. All they were saying is that, and they presented evidence for it. These people, these so-called journalists, I think the term in the gaming community is urinalists, which I think is appropriate. I like it. They're tweeting out how they hate Quillette for one thing, but they make false claims that Andy wanted this to happen, or even there was even the claim that he set it up, so it was staged, which is utterly ridiculous. Conspiracy theory nonsense. But anyway, the author of this piece is just confirming what the article in Quillette was claiming. And so, he says the claim that journalists don't they don't cheer on Antifa. It was quickly debunked. Yeah, okay. Where is it? Where's that debunking? And there's no evidence in here that he presents. Just an assertion that they're not doing that. This is the other incident. I mean, there's been a lot of incidents in Portland where the guy got hit in the head with a canister of tear gas. And, well, you know what? I don't feel sorry for him. I really don't.
No, I don't feel sorry for any of them, but...
Yeah, they're there to commit crimes just because they can. And the mayor of Portland allows it. He just allows it. And that's the stupidest... contrast that with a piece from Vox. This was actually a even-handed, properly written piece by Zach Beauchamp, and it was very he presented that there's two narratives, one that is pushed by the conservative and mainstream media alike. The attack on Ngo is evidence of a serious left-wing violence problem in America, and I would say yes, that is just a symptom of it. Antifa, they argue, is a group of street thugs that has repeatedly attacked journalists and poses a genuine threat to public safety. No question. The other side says that Ngo is not an innocent victim, but a far-right sympathizer who has doxed Antifa members in the past, potentially facilitating their harassment, and provokes them so that he can broadcast the result. So,
and to what end on both of them?
Yeah, I don't know.
To what end?
I understand, Andy is documenting what's going on, and I have no idea what the context was for doxing somebody. I could imagine situations where I would do that to somebody, depending on if
right-wing extremists. They tried to dox me too. The difference with what happens
Antifa
in Red Deer is what happens in Red Deer is there's a clear police presence, and as soon as it looks like something doesn't look right, they step in, they walk around, and they make sure nobody. It remains peaceful. It remained peaceful when I was there. Thing is, only I ended up in the newspaper because I was just holding up a sign showing that what they were saying about the UN was wrong. I wasn't calling them a bunch of assholes. I was just, all I did was explain that what these people are saying is wrong. Of course, they didn't appreciate that, but so they changed their rhetoric. okay, we're against illegal immigration. We're not against immigration, we're against illegal immigration.
Yeah,
well, I'm sorry, but Canada doesn't have an illegal immigration problem. Exactly. So why are you so outraged?
That's not completely true. Because remember when people were crossing the border in the middle of winter and losing toes and fingers and stuff.
That's not illegal. You're allowed to come into a country and apply. Now, how you get in there varies ways.
No, you're not. You're allowed to go to a consulate and apply. You cannot do it from within Canada.
They're on their way.
You can't do it from within Canada. That is not legal. You have to go to a consulate in the country of origin.
These people were escaping the U.S. because the U.S., I think, which island was it now?
I was going to say Ellis.
They were threatening to... There was a bunch of refugees that came from one of the... Like Haiti. I think it was Haiti. And Trump announced that he was kicking them all out. They've been here long enough, they're kicking them all out. So they started heading to Canada and Mexico. So they were seeking a... They're not going to stop at the American border and get booted back to Haiti. They're going to come into Canada and apply for refugee status or asylum or whatever have you. And that's actually not illegal.
No, they have to do it from outside Canada. They have to go to a consulate.
I don't think so. We'll have to look that up.
You have to.
Not when you're a refugee. Not when you're fleeing.
I don't know about.
What are you gonna do? Stop it right at the border from, like, say you've come from Haiti or Puerto Rico or something, some disaster, and you've managed to escape and you float onto our, land.
Yeah.
Where are they supposed to go?
They might make exceptions, but I don't know. Somebody will have to phone in.
These Haitians were fleeing because they were getting kicked out again. I mean, it's created a huge headache for us, but it's not illegal. If you go to the government website and read what's happening with these people, it's not classified as illegal. They're not charged with anything.
No, they're not charged with anything, but
but it's not illegal.
Immigration, they usually send, they send people back to their place of origin and tell them that they can apply at a consulate.
That's not what they ended up doing with a lot of these people.
It might be different for refugees, but you have to be granted refugee status.
But how do you get it?
Well, that goes through the immigration courts.
But first they got to get here.
Yeah.
And it's not
I don't know what
illegal.
Do, actually. Well, that's an interesting question because if you're applying for refugee status, probably isn't. But if we were applying for regular immigration status, it probably would be.
So who's coming across the border fleeing people? Is it an everyday thing? And is
the problem is that the United States is not considered a country that is where you would be in imminent danger. And
well, these people were imminently going to get booted out of the country.
Yes, but you're not imminently in danger.
They can prove that they're in danger where they came from.
That's the other side of the coin. So what you would do is you would go through the immigration courts, and you'd have to show that you are running from imminent danger. Which
they do once they get here.
Sometimes,
it's like
not
in the
always.
States. In the States, it's not illegal to come into the country and start the process.
Yes,
it's not illegal
to start the process, but
it's not
often they overstay
a big
visas.
problem. The country is not getting taken over by all these illegal aliens taking your jobs and all this other crap that these guys say about illegal aliens. And they pay taxes. These assholes make it sound like they're in here taking over. They're going to make us do, Sharia law and everything else now. Like, they completely lie to each other, for one thing, and everybody else about the actual process when you can go to the government website and actually read through what actually happens. And it's nothing like what these assholes tell everybody.
Yeah.
It's pure racist. It's pure nonsense. And they want everybody to think that there's such a problem with all these illegal immigrants. We got to do something about it. No.
Oh, great. Okay, I just lost the...
Yeah, something went dark there.
Yeah. We'll do a window capture again. Yay! Let's try that again. Yeah, so this piece in Vox was quite a bit more even-handed.
Balanced.
Yeah, and that surprised me because Vox is not known for that. Gotta get the browser up again. Come on, where's the window capture? There it is. Yeah, eventually I'll get it. Chrome. There we go. All right, there we go. Now, there. Good. So, yeah, this is a much more even-handed piece, and I highly recommend reading it. Not the HuffPo thing, but then again, there's anybody who's listening to this, do they actually go to HuffPo for anything? You certainly shouldn't be going to HuffPo for your news. They're terrible. Yeah, so remember we talked about that dinner thing where you pay $2,000 for a couple of women of color come to berate you and sort of help you self-flagellate your whiteness out of you.
Yes, because that makes everything better.
Yeah, this is one of them. Sarah Rao. Andy Ngo is a fascist. Okay, see, this is one of those words that just gets thrown around. Nobody bothers to ask, what do you mean?
What does it mean?
It's actually a notoriously difficult political, what's the word I'm looking for? Political stance to define. It has characteristics. If you go to Wikipedia, they give it a good write-up on that. Anyway, Andy Ngo is a fascist, period. It's wild watching liberals defend him as a journalist. Well, yeah, he actually is a journalist. He writes for Quillette, and Hitler was a fascist. Wow. And also, we went straight for the Hitler card. And also other things like a man, a human, a son. He was a fascist first and foremost. The same for Ngo. So Andy Ngo is Hitler. And you wonder why people point at you and laugh, Sarah. Jesus Christ. And Zoe Quinn is trying to get another 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, I couldn't really... I spent...
After Gamergate.
I tried to figure out the whole point of that whole...
Gamergate? Or this?
That. I was going through that, trying to figure out what... Did she put up that page, or is it about her, or...
Well, Unburnt Witch is her. So...
Yeah, I could not figure out what the hell she was trying to do there.
Well, she's basically saying we have nothing left for us but to be violent. When we're up against...
So she's one of the ones that'll go on the street and start...
Well, she's certainly egging them on. When we're up against a force that wants to visit violence on so many as an end goal and won't back down, there will be times and scenarios where those opposed to violence will only be able to choose between fighting back or being hurt. Instead of the mainstream's left's push to apologize to fascism for hurting its feelings and condemn all Antifa violence. I condemn all violence, period. It's just that we're talking about Antifa right now.
Because apparently they won the fight. But not, but what does that get you? You look like a bunch of jerks.
Well, it's going to get them... well, this is interesting because... Let's go back and see... let's see. Oh, here. CNN. It actually made CNN this time. And this was written by James Gagliano. And it's called We Need to Pay Attention to the Attack on Andy Ngo. The viral images are sickening. Andy Ngo, a photojournalist and editor at the online magazine Quillette, who has made a cottage industry of exposing instances of manufactured hate crimes, was viciously assaulted while covering an Antifa rally held as a counter-protest. Dude, can you please put in periods in here somewhere so I can catch my breath? While covering an Antifa rally held as a counter-protest
How is it
to
the
a
Antifa rally when it was the other guys who arranged it and got the permit?
It was... Let's see, yeah, I suppose that's true, yeah. As a counter-protest... Yeah, well, he does say it's a counter-protest to a rally of right-wing groups, including the Proud Boys in Portland, Oregon. Jesus Christ, man. How long is this sentence? Anyway,
I was taught how to correct that in like grade 4.
Yeah, I know. It really bugged me too. Antifa derives from Antifa. Yeah, we know that. So we saw what happened on the thing. The right to gather and protest is not an absolute. Under the Constitution, the Supreme Court has found we all have the... Here we go again. We all have the right to peaceably assemble, provided a permit is secured in advance, and all local laws are followed that... This is not English, dude. And all local laws are followed that mandate when, and like I said, it is English, but it needs some punctuation in there, when and where the protest may take place. Anti-masking laws are nothing new. In an 1845 New York state law was a response to a dispute between landowners and tenant farmers who worked their land. New York City later grappled with this law during the 2011 Occupy Wall Street clash with protesters, some masked, who took over a public park. At least 5 occupancy protesters were cited for violating the law then. And there's another one where it's in 1990, the Georgia Supreme Court reinstated a 1951 state ban on the KKK's hood wearing during the Jim Crow era. So there is precedence for getting these masks off, and I really hope they do. Like this, when you go with gloves, with hard knuckles, and helmets, black helmets, and gas masks, you are there premeditated. You have shown premeditation to doing violence. And you're not heroes. You're not. I
don't see any of their names Hitler here. I mean, they're just making things worse.
If people would, the Proud Boys and all that. If Antifa wasn't there, this wouldn't even be a blip on the radar. And it would just fizzle out. But no, now Antifa gets involved and stirs up the pot.
Why can't there be peaceful protests and peaceful counter-protests?
Good question.
There's bad people on both sides.
Because these people are shit human beings. They're just shit human beings. They're not. They're just the worst. There was something else. She works for DC Comics. I mean, the alt left makes it almost a standard operating procedure to get people fired from their jobs because they don't they fail purity tests or don't subscribe to their dogma. How is this Zoe Quinn, how is she keeping her job? I wonder. And this is all public domain, right? It's seriously. Yeah. In Washington D.C., there was again another Antifa. It was right wing and Antifa protest, counter protest, and these guys don't screw around. The D.C. police, they're not going to stand by like they did in Portland, and they're gonna come down, and they did. They kept them apart, and they used minimal force, but they did a good job. Yeah. Portland mayor receives backlash after Antifa attacks. Reporter covering their latest protest. This guy as a mayor stinks. He's okay.
Yeah.
He allowed an attack on ICE facility. And so he told the police to stand down, even though they were actually, ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement people aren't villains. It's the people who are giving them the orders doing what they do. But they're just regular people. And so during protests against the ICE facility last year, Wheeler actually ordered police to stand down. What? Just because it was politically.
But what was happening? What were they attacking? What were they doing?
Oh, they were attacking the immigration facility. It was Antifa.
How?
Like violently.
With rocks
mobs. Yeah, it was
sticks.
Antifa mob, and they were calling 911, and they wouldn't respond. They were told not to respond. The guy should. This is disgusting. The policy here's his tweets on this. Mayor Ted Wheeler. The policy being enacted by the federal government around the separation of very small children from their parents is an abomination. It's un-American. I'm glad to see the president seems to be reconsidering this very ill-conceived policy, and I hope that happens forthwith. And that is fine, but you don't not respond. You don't tell the police not to respond to an emergency. What the hell? He said, another tweet, I drove by the demonstration yesterday. It seemed to be very peaceful, and I was pleased to see that. I want to be very clear. I do not want the Portland police to be engaged or sucked into a conflict, particularly from a federal agency that I believe is on the wrong track. Oh, this yeah, it's going great. Okay, I'm leaving. Like, what? If there's even a chance of violence, why would you tell the police not to at least observe? Unbelievable. And that I've heard other accounts of this that it's not quite so all sunshines and rainbows that was going on. But the thing is, he's denying it. Ted Wheeler is denying that the attack on Andy Ngo and the larger picture. He's denying that he told them the police to stand down. But the president of the police union is saying that that's absolutely what was going on. Yeah, where I got to find the. Yeah, Portland's police chief calls for Oh, yeah, we've done that one. I want the other one. Here we go. Portland Police Union tells mayor to remove the handcuffs he's put on cops. So the union is claiming the exact opposite of what the mayor is claiming. Where are the voices condemning the lawlessness and violence? If this violence had been directed at Antifa, there would have been an immediate call for an independent outside investigation. This is a perfect example of Portland politics at work and why our great city is now under fire in the national news. The mayor, our police commissioner, is not allowed to use the rank and file officers of the Portland Police Bureau as a shield to deflect Portland's negative press nationwide. As we have said before and will continue to say, police officers work to uphold the Constitution, including the right to free speech. It's our job to ensure that our community can peacefully protest without fear of violence, but right now our hands are tied. So very different take on it than the mayor's take. And yeah. Anyway, I'm just pissed off at the whole thing.
Oh, nothing's getting accomplished, so.
Oh, here, this is funny. This is Snopes. How many weasel words can you fit into one tweet? Now listen to this. Andy Ngo, who describes himself as an editor at the conservative, I love that, it's a conservative website, Quillette, and says he is, quote, hated by Antifa, unquote, said he was attacked by anti-fascist protesters and had to be taken to the hospitals to treat injuries to his face and head. So they didn't bother to fact check any of this before they sent out the tweet. Isn't that what Snopes is all about? And the founder of Quillette came on and said in no uncertain terms that Andy Ngo is an editor at Quillette. They could have just asked. How many? This is like, I don't know. It's probably not going to stop any lawyer from the lawsuits, which are coming, by the way. Andy Ngo's lawyer has said that not just Antifa is going to be named in the lawsuit that is being filed, but Ted Wheeler himself is going to get it.
The mayor.
Yep. He's going to get it, and anybody who online defamed Andy Ngo. So you reporters out there who tweeted that he is not, he's a white supremacist or something like that. You
can go look at his Twitter page.
Still defamation. Still defamation.
Not if he's actually saying racist things.
Well, give me an example.
I'll have to go and get it.
Oh, because I'm not aware of any of that. Okay. Here we go. That's anything you wanted to say on the last on that?
Well, my joke was there's bad people on both sides, referring to how what Trump said. It's a bad joke.
Oh, okay.
Very bad joke.
Well, from bad to fat. You remember this woman, Sonali Rachatoire? She was giving advice on things that she has no expertise in terms of, fat is not unhealthy. Right. Unfortunately, there's a lot of peer-reviewed literature that would disagree with you. But anyway, Rachatoire, who though considers how sizeism it's a part of it's intersectional. It is affected by racism, misogyny, classism, homophobia, transphobia, and ableism, and she counsels people against intentional weight loss.
Wow.
Are you freaking kidding me? Okay, she's obese. I mean, there's no two ways about this. And there is no question that obesity is a very big factor in risk factor in a number of diseases and disorders. Heart disease, stroke, diabetes, what else all sorts of, those are the big ones. But, really, it's okay to be obese. No, I don't think so. That's never going to be okay. But that doesn't mean that we berate people
or,
shame people for being fat.
Yeah.
And, you haven't walked a mile in their shoes, but that doesn't change the fact that that obesity is a risk factor in early death. It's just amazing. And Rachatoire, who noted that people may perceive feminine bodies as more masculine if they're fat. I don't know where she gets that.
Me either. I think they look kind of more feminine. They're
concave shaped. She's convex shaped.
I don't know.
Convex shaped.
Some of them just they get that baby face and it's cute. It's not masculine. I don't understand that.
Feels similarly about her upbringing. Being big and being the eldest child, she said, made her feel less like a girl growing up. Maybe her parents wanted a boy. Could be as simple as that. Rachatoire, I love this. Rachatoire traces contemporary fat phobia. Okay, we're not afraid of fat people, but anyway, to colonial brutality and how enslaved people were treated. Yeah. Citing researcher advocate Caleb Luna, Rachatoire said curing anti-fat. I love this. We're the ones with the problem. Curing anti-fatness would mean dismantling society's foundation. And she says, I love to talk about undoing Western civilization because it's just so romantic to me. What the hell?
What? I don't know.
You know, that sounds like a lot of work. Wouldn't it be just easier to lose some weight? Seriously. I mean, the rest
Well,
of...
at least promote healthy eating and exercise.
No, she doesn't do that. No.
Like, at the very least, if you're not going to promote weight loss, at the very least, promote exercise and eating healthy, because it doesn't matter what you weigh, that's good for you. Whether you're scrawny, like you can be a scrawny stick that, what do they call that when you throw up after you eat and stuff? Bulimic. That's not healthy either. But
yeah, exactly, yeah. And then she goes on to talk about the BMI and how it's been debunked. Yeah, we know that the BMI, it's a quick and dirty measure.
It's not perfect. Yeah.
It is, it gives you some indications that, in fact, if you're obese, and what she doesn't mention in this piece is that if you are obese, you have a significantly greater chance of life-ending problems in your near future.
I'd like to see how she addresses all the studies and the evidence and the.
And now here's the cherry on top of things. The language that I used in that talk, that was the talk we covered a couple of months ago. That I gave was actually that I was not surprised that the person who shot up the mosque in Christchurch, New Zealand was also, wait for it, a fitness instructor. Da, 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 da.
That's the enemy now.
Fucking hell.
Oh my god. Like that has anything to do with anything. Oh my god.
Oh wow. Isn't that just like...
Wow.
Hitler was a vegetarian. Okay, so you vegetarians out there, you're all just as bad as Hitler. Same fucking logic.
Yeah, bad logic.
I was not surprised by that because people who are Nazis... people who are white supremacists... Okay, no, why don't you just say white supremacists, okay? Don't make yourself sound stupid by calling people Nazis. People who are trying to think of the perfect race are also super fat phobic. Well, I don't want that. I'm afraid of being fat. I'm not afraid of fat people. I'm just afraid of being fat. Oftentimes it's very eugenic. So we're all out taking the fat people behind the woodshed like old Yeller. You know, going to the doctor is a fat traumatic experience. Like, you know what? Get over the fact that losing some pounds is going to benefit you. You're going to feel
your
better.
Knees. Well, thank you.
Your knees, no kidding. Her knees are going to be shot. You know, you're going to just feel better. You know, and you're going to actually feel better about yourself.
Yeah, it's not how you look, it's how healthy you are. I mean, you might look worse skinny.
You look too, because, you know, it you know, that's important to people. People want to look good. But this woman wants to change society and what it means to be healthy and look good. You can't really, you know, she wants to change Western civilization to suit her. That's the biggest problem I have with this whole thing. It's like, it doesn't work that way.
There's got to be a term for that.
And yeah, the world revolves around Rachatoire. That's yeah. Yeah, this probably is an actual word for it. But, you know...
Delusions of grandeur. That's what it is. It's not one word. It's delusions of grandeur.
Well, she's. Does that apply?
And apparently, Dunning-Kruger too. She knows better than everybody else on the
definitely
planet.
Applies. Yep, definitely a big Dunning-Kruger effect going on here. You have no expertise in this area of, or any other area of medicine.
And I was going to ask, what does she do?
She's a sex therapist. And she counsels obese people on sex. And I don't trust her to even do that. Well, is it a good thing? I'm not so sure.
Who knows?
If she was actually, helped these people, but I don't think she's helping them. She's certainly not, trying to get them to feel better about themselves in the right way. Oh yeah, this is that BMI thing. The problems in here, like taken alone as an indicator of health, the BMI is misleading. Well, no, duh.
Everybody knows that, and they don't do that. So
it's just incredible. So that's what she means by it's been debunked. Well, no.
It's just one part of the puzzle.
Yeah. So obviously the people who were big by both measures, one was BMI and the other was waist measurement, had an increased risk of mortality. So how is that debunking the BMI? It doesn't. So you have to just take a look at body type as well, and that's the part of the BMI which I've never liked. It doesn't. There are different different musculoskeletal frames that it doesn't take into consideration.
Like bodybuilder.
Oh yeah, those guys are just below the bell curve, right? Oh, we're gonna do the bumper anyway. And we're moving on to Catholic Watch.
Okay.
The Legion of Reasons Catholic Watch. It didn't show up. Okay, I screwed up. Anyway. So Bishop plans to spray murder-plagued city with holy water from helicopter to get rid of the devil.
What would be funny is if people start spreading rumors that he's also going to, put like vaccination ingredients in there or something.
Chemtrails.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is Colombia. A Catholic bishop is planning to use a helicopter to spray holy water over an entire city that he claims is being plagued by demons. Seriously, this is like... Okay,
show me a demon. What happens? Show me what happens to a demon in holy water. Get me a demon and show me.
Yeah. Monsignor Ruben Dario Jaramillo Montoya. Jeez, man, that's a hell of a name. Bishop for the Colombian seaport city of Buenaventura is borrowing the chopper from the Navy in a bid to cleanse the streets of wickedness on July 14th.
Is he borrowing a pilot too?
Yeah, I hope so. Well, maybe. See, we want to go around... I got to do this. We want to go around the whole Buenaventura from the air and pour holy water onto it to see if we exorcise all these demons that are destroying our port. So that's God's blessing comes and gets rid of all the wickedness that is in our streets. So, yeah, dude. Well, maybe you'll drown some of the gang or drug lords. I don't know. Talk
about not doing anything good or anything that'll actually solve a problem.
It's a PR stunt.
And how do you measure this after?
Yeah.
What if crime rates go up?
That'd be funny.
Everybody be bad now, okay? There's
a lot of drug gang activity in this city, and the gangs have been known to maintain chop-up houses where they slaughter victims. Yeah. Oh yeah. In Bonaventura, we have to get rid of the devil to see if we can return to tranquility that the city has lost with so many crimes, acts of corruption, and so much evil and drug trafficking. I'm starting to sound like Count Dracula.
Yeah.
It will be a great public demonstration for the entire community, where will pour holy water to see if so many bad things end and the devil gets out of here. Blah.
Yeah, because it. Hotel Transylvania. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's just a PR stunt, dude. Magic words said over water equals water. Okay. Yeah, that's funny.
Well, it's entertaining, if anything, but won't this cost money, and wouldn't that money be better spent on maybe, I don't know, tracking down this ring? Like, how are these guys making money? How's stuff coming in and out? Maybe solve that.
Yeah, they always find a way to get around. You put up a block and they find a way to get around it.
Well, this
when
holy
there's money
water
involved,
is just...
there's always a way. You know how what did Pablo Escobar say that he estimated how much money he was losing per day just from the money rotting. It was in the millions, and it's something like $2 million a day.
Rotting.
Rotting because they had to bury it. They ran out of places to
launder
stash the cash, and so that it was all buried underground, sealed, but it eventually rots, and that's what happens. And I mean that was pocket change for him.
That's pretty effed up.
Yeah. Anybody who hasn't watched Narcos, you should.
Yeah, I haven't. Okay. I don't know. It might piss me off too much.
It's fascinating.
It's no big effort and the money
really well acted.
And nobody cares about education.
Here's a spoiler. Pablo Escobar gets killed. Which we knew. Because, and the first, there's three Narcos. The first one was about Pablo Escobar, and it kind of dovetailed in with that was the Medellin cartel, and it was the rival cartel in can't remember the name of the city. It starts with a C. Anyway, that's the second part of the second Narcos, and the third one is in Mexico, and I'm waiting for season 2, which was really good because I remember the actual incident that started the whole thing between the DEA and the Mexican cartels. Now I can't remember the name of that cartel too. Starts with an S. Anyway, it's Kiki Camarena. It was a DEA agent working in Mexico, and he was kidnapped and tortured and murdered. And that was when the gloves came off during the Reagan era. It was just it was a nasty time. Not that it's much better now, because the Senalese. There was the Senalese. That's the one. Senalese cartel. It's so well written, so well acted. The very first. Yeah, the first two. Well, they're all written from the perspective of DEA agents. So but you get some of the cartel side too. It's really interesting. And then what's really scary about it is they include pieces from the news, the real world, and real footage, and including the death of Escobar, and they actually got actors that look like the real people, really look like the real people, so you can't really tell the difference. That, you know, you'd swear it was they were exactly the same person that was in the news. Yeah, it's really well done. Yeah. Anyway, here's a good news story from Germany. Yes, German priest causes church walkout as he preaches for predator priest forgiveness.
That made me laugh when I read just the title.
About time. Okay.
People finally had enough.
Unbelievable. So
that's what it took.
This retired priest, he said he wanted to tell parishioners about the biblically important meaning of forgiveness. He regretted that predator priests were labeled criminals. Are you... No, I'm not going to say it.
That makes me wonder what he does.
Yeah, what? Oh.
To justify such a thing like that, what is he doing?
So, people actually stood up, and during his sermon, he was never able to finish the sermon, and people walked out, and we're trying to argue with them, and apparently there were people who had been molested by pedophile priests in the congregation. So, 4.4% of clerics were, you know, that's the number that can be attached to, you know, what's the demographics of pedophile priests. And that's a bit low. So I'm suspecting that a lot of cases haven't been recorded. So they've abused.
Well, with how they hide it and move people around, and you know,
3,700 people between 1946 and 2014 were molested.
Yeah,
you know, they treat the perpetrators better than they treat the victims. And it's just, in an interview with Kirch und Leben website, this guy griped about the fact that even bishops refer to predator priests as criminals. Well, that's, yeah. Despite the fact that these good men
people don't realize that this is criminal activity to this day, really.
He just, boo, you know, like, what the hell? What is wrong with you? What is your major malfunction, numbnuts? Yeah, despite the fact that these men were also good clerics in their communities. No,
so
apparently not.
So you can be a good cleric and get away with criminal activity. I see how this works.
Nobody is just profoundly evil, the priest said. Goodness and guilt are often combined with each other or stand side by side without touching. So what? Yeah. Oh, I'm sure Hitler was going back to the Hitler thing. I'm sure Hitler was a nice person too.
He had a puppy or something, or a kitten that he was nice to, like, and
yeah. So what? Does that erase all the crimes? These truly heinous crimes? No. What the hell is wrong with you? Oh. Yeah. This guy, I'm not going to pronounce his name because I can't. Insisted that it was, quote, time for the church hierarchy to say a word of forgiveness after a long time. Yeah. No, dude. When asked about the reaction his sermon caused among worshippers, whatever, said that it was a real shock. He lamented that he was unable to get his point across. Oh no, buddy, you got your point across.
Oh no, we got.
And
that's why people left.
Yeah, especially the biblically important meaning of forgiveness. Wow. Wow. The guy, this, what do you say to this? And what a
this isn't forgiveness; it's justification.
Yeah, some things like I keep saying on this podcast, forgiveness is an overrated concept. There are some things you just should not forgive. Doesn't mean you don't move on. That's the important part.
And trying to tell people you have to forgive to move on is bullshit, too.
That is bullshit. That is pure bullshit. There's more than one way to move on. And I when I hear somebody forgiving, this person murdered my son or daughter, I forgive them. I just want to barf. It's like,
you can't forgive someone for what they did to someone else.
Grab them by the lapels and just say, "What the hell are you doing?" Seriously, that person just took that person out of your life. Think about that. Permanently.
And you can't forgive someone else for someone else. That person has to forgive the bad that someone did to them. You can't do it for them. It's like a law of nature. You can't do that.
Yeah, it's just...
Forgiveness has to come from the person they did it to. Yeah. And if they're dead, it's unforgivable.
Yeah, exactly. Though I think that in the case of a parent, that... something was done to them too, but I don't think they should be forgiving somebody for,
Well, they lost a child, but how do you forgive someone for never seeing your child again?
Taking your
too.
Childhood innocence from you, ripping it from you,
and then blaming you. Usually they blame the victim too.
Mm-hmm. Or homosexuality. The other one they go to. They're
even though these priests are not homosexuals.
Well, that I've heard estimates of 40 to 60%.
I saw a study where they weren't actually much higher than the ones that actually commit pedophilia.
No, we're talking about pedophilia.
Don't have a higher rate.
I'm not talking about pedophilia. I'm talking about homosexuality. The two are distinct.
But they found the pedophiles weren't mostly homosexuals. They found they weren't any more homosexual than the general population. So it seems like the homosexuals actually don't commit the pedophilia then. If they have a high rate of homosexuality, but they're not the ones molesting the kids, what does that say?
Yeah, well, they don't,
because they didn't find, when they actually took the group of pedophiles and compared it to the group of non-pedophiles in the church, there weren't more homosexuals in the pedophile group. So
no, of course, that doesn't surprise me. So that's enough said about the Catholic Church today. Yeah. Quack Tracts?
Oh God. Stephan's.
It's time for Quack Tracts.
Oh, that doubled up too, I think. Oh well. Yeah, I bet. See. Yeah, never mind. I'll check it later. Let's go on. Oh, this is an update on the Stephan's retrial. The accused mother cries at trial over boy who died of meningitis. So Collett, seen here, Collett Stephan was on the stand. The mother of a toddler who died of bacterial meningitis broke down several times Tuesday as she testifies at her trial that she is still haunted by her boy's death. Well,
and who is cross-examining her? Her husband.
Yep. He's my son, she said tearfully. My role as a stay-at-home mom is to care for my children. It's my purpose. It's why I was put on earth. In other words, baby machine. Make me a sandwich.
And she still couldn't tell her son was dying, even when he was stiff as a board.
It was an extremely traumatic time which no parent should have to go through. She said,
you could have had him vaccinated and you wouldn't have had to go through it.
Ezekiel first stopped breathing while she was holding him and listening to him inhale irregularly. Shouldn't that be a kind of a signal to go to the hospital?
Yeah. They didn't call for help until he stopped breathing.
The first time. I had patted him on the back and he started breathing again. I carried him to the bedroom, and when I laid him on the bed, he stopped breathing again. Jeez,
And she hadn't
Christ.
called 911 by then. Isn't that great?
Yeah. The Stephans called 911 while driving the boy to the hospital. Well, she claimed that he seemed to improve, and I'm like,
Wow.
that's the time to take him to the hospital, because you got to, you don't have to perform life-saving measures on the kid. Anyway, the couple have testified that they originally thought Ezekiel had the croup and that they treated him with natural remedies. Idiots. They saw no reason to take him to hospital despite his having a fever and lacking energy.
And being stiff as a board. And
Maybe
stopping
stiff as a
breathing.
board. That hasn't been mentioned in the retrial yet, at least as far as I can tell. Collett, I love this. Collett Stephan said she did research on both viral and bacterial meningitis. She went on the
Because she has the background to understand research.
In my mind, I'm thinking
What
of
was
the
she
two,
reading,
he would
like-
be closer to viral meningitis than he was to the bacterial.
Because she's trained to diagnose.
Either way, you go to the hospital.
Now
Doesn't
doctors are
matter which
bad.
one.
They're still trying to blame the doctors.
Of course.
And the ambulance drivers and the ambulance crew and anybody but themselves. The fact that he stopped breathing at home doesn't matter for some reason.
Several times. Don't forget, several times. Wow. I didn't see any health concerns warranting him to see the doctor, other than stopping breathing.
And several people telling them along the way, take that kid to a hospital, including a freaking naturopath. Even the naturopath told them that.
So
They didn't listen.
that was David Stephan who said this. I didn't see any health concerns. If he starts to exhibit symptoms, we should take him in. What? Wait, hasn't he been exhibiting symptoms
From day one, weeks and weeks and weeks
what
ago.
the hell? David Stephan testified they suspected Ezekiel may have contracted viral meningitis. So why didn't you take him to the doctor at that point? It is less serious, yeah, but it can still be fatal. And usually clears up.
And
on
it
its
turns
own.
out he was wrong.
And you don't wait to find out which.
Yeah, you go get him tested.
Well, but they start you on antibiotics before they even test you.
Well, yeah, you could have a
That's standard.
secondary infection too. I
Well,
mean,
they assume-
viral infections usually,
Well, they assume
serious
that it's
viral
bacterial.
infections usually have, yeah,
They assume it's
And-
bacterial meningitis before they
to
do
be
the
safe,
test.
yeah, but of course they don't want the pharma drugs on their kid, so.
Well, I guess they didn't want a kid. I recall distinctly that bacterial meningitis wasn't on the radar. If we thought he had a
Says who?
fatal infection, we would have been to the doctor right away. Well,
Because you're trained to diagnose the difference, yeah. Hmm.
and things don't have to be fatal to go to see a physician. What the hell? Stephan
Apparently
told-
to them, you have to stop breathing before you call the doctor.
let's see. He testified that his wife did call a friend at one point who was a nurse and a midwife. The friend mentioned the possibility that Ezekiel might have meningitis, but she wasn't sure. So go find out, right?
Yeah,
Stephan
she didn't
told-
do any tests. She didn't take his
Yeah.
blood. She didn't.
It's over the
Of course
phone.
she's
How
not
can you
sure.
diagnose somebody? Yeah.
Duh.
Stephan told the court that he was, quote, 100% convinced, unquote, that Ezekiel had recovered. Just like,
When he was stiff as a board?
dead yet.
Really?
I'm
I ain't dead
feeling
yet.
better.
He's still breathing. He's good.
I feel happy. Until he noticed the child had an odd breathing pattern. He said the couple continued to treat him with natural remedies.
Because that's working
even-
so well after weeks and weeks and weeks.
Even after the toddler was declared brain dead at the Children's Hospital in Calgary. Jeez. Yeah.
Still stuffing that crap down his throat. Mhm.
So then we come
Okay.
to the next day. The mother of Alberta boy who died of meningitis cross-examined by husband in retrial.
Gee, the
ever
other
happened
person who failed to provide the necessaries of life cross-examines the other person.
You got to
Yeah,
admit,
I don't
from
see a
legal-
problem here.
From a legal perspective, this is pretty unusual.
It's kind of funny because the Dunning-Kruger are so strong with these
Oh,
people.
yeah.
They think they're doctors and lawyers.
Yeah, it's hilarious. If it wasn't so sad, the mother.
Yeah,
of 18
I know there's a dead child here, but this is beyond ridiculous. I cried for that kid years ago. Like, this has been going on for years. This is insane. These people are incredibly... Ugh. So I have to laugh or be mad.
So on Wednesday, Collett testified she didn't believe her son showed symptoms of bacterial meningitis prior to his death, stating that if her midwife or the naturopathic doctor had told her to take her son to the hospital, she would have.
They did.
When David, acting as his own lawyer, stepped up to cross-examine his wife.
Is she calling these people liars now?
No, I don't think they're lying. They're just...
No, she's saying that they didn't tell her to do what they told her to do, take him in. She's like, well, if they would have told me, I would have. Well, they did.
This is the problem with witness testimony, that recollections become, it's a...
These people
twisted.
Testified at the last trial saying so.
Yeah, and they probably did at this one too, I believe. When David, acting as his own lawyer, stepped up to cross-examine his wife, he asked Collett to detail a previous encounter she'd had with the naturopathic doctor. Don't call them doctors.
Because they're so qualified to treat meningitis. Hello, they know they're not.
Clean toilets, but
that's why she told you to take the kid in. She knew she wasn't qualified.
And she knew her bullshit wasn't going to do anything for them. And that it was actually serious. You notice how that when anything's really serious, naturopaths, they go to the doctor.
Chiropractors will do that too.
Yeah. Collett recounted that she had also gone to Tanis about a medical situation with her other child, Ezra, who had a buildup of earwax. You screwed that up too, right? Collett added that when she was
earwax and meningitis are so similar.
Collett added that when she was instructed by Tanis to take Ezra to the doctor, she did. Earlier in the retrial, however, Dr. Tanis testified that Collett called her clinic and told an assistant she was concerned her son might have viral meningitis. Tanis stated that she instructed her assistant to tell Collett that Ezekiel should be taken to the hospital right away. So there's conflicting testimony here. While Collett was on the stand Wednesday, Crown Prosecutor Joshua Chan also suggested to her that her midwife, Terry Shaw, had in fact mentioned the possibility of meningitis after examining Ezekiel. Collett responded that it had come up in discussion with Shaw. I asked if I was to take him to a doctor, what would they do? Collett told the court, adding that Shaw told her they'd send her home probably because of a lack of symptoms. I don't buy that.
Oh, bullshit. At some point, the kid was getting brain damage, and they would have diagnosed that too. But of course, these idiots
lethargic,
didn't understand that.
Unresponsive, and
stiff as a board,
vomiting, seizures.
I'm sorry, but if my child can't sit because he's so stiff, I might be fucking worried about that.
Yep. So the Crown then pressed further and suggested once Collett had researched meningitis online, she should have been more concerned for the welfare of her child. Collett, however, said Ezekiel didn't display the critical symptoms, and if he had, she would have taken him to a doctor.
Because she just knows critical symptoms because of her vast experience in hospitals.
And David Stephan told Global News on Tuesday that he feels positive about his and his wife's testimonies. I think we were able to clarify a lot of points and misconceptions that were made when we were nearly 48 hours sleep deprived. That should be hyphenated. And food deprived, again hyphenated. And traumatized when we made the statements to the police, so I think it went quite well. Oh,
no, you just look like liars now. I mean, there's other people that have testified to the opposite of what you guys are now claiming. You look like a liar.
So here's the symptoms in a newborn for meningitis. High fever. High fever should be enough to go to the doctor. Okay. Constant crying. Excessive sleepiness or irritability. Inactivity or sluggishness. Poor feeding. A bulge in the soft spot on top of a baby's head, the fontanelle. Of course, that's because of the inflammation.
Build up of fluid, yeah.
Yeah. Stiffness in a baby's body and neck, which did happen. So, when to see a doctor? Fever. Severe unrelenting headache. Of course, that's more for adults. Confusion, more for adults. Vomiting. And stiff neck. Stiff neck isn't always there, but
Well, he was completely stiff, not just his neck.
Yeah, he was stiff as a board. He was, he was in rigor.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Moving on. So that was...
I just want to say shame on them, shame on them, shame on them.
Yeah, that was the last date that they were in court, I think, was June 26th. That was when David Stephan cross-examined his wife. And there hasn't been anything since. I've been monitoring the things, but I'm hoping soon this will be over. We can, and the judge will come back. I don't think it'll take too long. I really don't. al-Qunun. So go ahead.
Any bets on what they'll do next if they're found guilty again?
They'll try and appeal. This time it's going to be much more difficult because there's no jury to instruct. It's a judge-only trial. And the judge has given him, it looks to me, the judge has given him absolutely zero grounds on which to
I'm sure they'll come up with something. Whether it's true or not, they'll come up with something.
But I think it's going to be a Hail Mary. Okay. St. Louis. Alton mother hid girl's diabetes diagnosis from family and doctors until it was too late.
This one was shocking.
14 years old, Emily Hampshire, died from diabetic ketosis. Was never treated. This is amazing.
Well, and her mother denied it. That's like the opposite of Munchausen syndrome. It's like, what would you call that? Medical denialism type delusion.
What? I don't know. And honestly, I'm not sure I care. I mean, I don't need to understand it to condemn it, so...
She obviously thought anything a doctor told her, anything anyone told her wasn't true.
Well, apparently, Emily Hampshire, 14, died of diabetes-related illness in November in hospital. Her mother, Amber Hampshire, 39, was charged Thursday with involuntary manslaughter and endangering the life or health of a child. Her bail is set at $100,000, and she turned herself into police this past Thursday. Prosecutors say they don't know a motive. It's so unusual and sad, and a completely preventable death. Go ahead.
Yeah. The motive was she didn't believe anyone, and she hid her daughter's condition from everyone because she didn't believe it. Yeah. Or she purposely killed her kid. Which do you want to believe?
Weird. But why didn't Emily say anything? This is the thing I don't understand.
Her mom probably told her it was bullshit.
Maybe, but then I'm sure...
Probably doused her in oils and said, "Oh, you'll be cured."
Wouldn't getting really ill kind of make you rethink that? I don't know.
Well, considering one kid stopped breathing before they considered that was ill.
Well, no, but I'm talking about the teenager herself. Okay, I'm feeling really sick. Maybe we should go.
Kids trust their parents.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
They listen to their parents.
We're actually hardwired to do that as children.
Mm-hmm. And she probably got a placebo from her mom, like some kind of oil or vitamin or something, and said, "This will be good."
It could be.
This will make you feel better. Oh, you know what else they tell people? You'll feel worse before you feel better.
Yeah.
I've heard that one so many times.
There were plenty
probably
of
told her daughter that
I'm
just...
there were plenty of doctors along the way providing information on what to do with a treatable, manageable illness that many people live out their lives with. Hampshire took measures to conceal Emily's diabetes and failed to provide her daughter with the appropriate medical treatment and medication for her diabetes, which led to Emily's death from diabetic ketoacidosis. Gibbons said investigators believe the concealment of the disease was so effective that other family members were kept in the dark. They believe Emily's father, who is away from home frequently for work, was unaware of the illness until his daughter was hospitalized last month. Hey. So, I guess
That's
they
the
call it
weirdest part of
paramedics.
all of this.
Yeah.
The fact that she made
was
her
really
daughter
good.
hide her condition from everyone
Yep.
and then lied to everyone about it. Like, that is so weird.
Yeah, and maybe it'll come out. And the child had been diagnosed in 2013.
It must have been type 2.
How did she not get diabetic neuropathy?
Well, if it's type 2, you can manage for a while. Obviously not forever. Watching your diet and stuff, so not forever.
She was admitted. She had been admitted for pneumonia and diabetic ketoacidosis in February. She was prescribed insulin as a routine medicine after release, and she and her mother were provided with education about diabetes, insulin, and dietary needs. But her mother failed to bring her to 3 scheduled follow-up appointments. Authorities say there is no evidence that Emily Hampshire ever filled the insulin prescription. Investigators served a search warrant at the home in November and found some diabetes medication and instruments to monitor and test sugar levels, but they had not been used. And her school and church, which I don't. Why would the church need to know? But anyway, the school and the church had been notified about her medical condition, and but
her mom told them.
Her mom told them the diagnosis was wrong.
She worked at the school. The mom worked at the school.
And so the maximum penalty for involuntary manslaughter is 14 years, and for endangering the life or health of a child is 10 years. Let's hope they're concurrent. This was, and this is what happens in ketoacidosis. You get, excessive thirst, which is, which you always have when you're diabetic. Frequent urination, same thing. Nausea and vomiting, abdominal pain, weakness or fatigue, shortness of breath, fruity scented breath, and confusion, and then eventually, death. Yeah.
Maybe she stayed home on, when she got really sick, too.
Yep. Do I have anything else? Oh, yeah, I do have something else. Not that. I think we already did that one last time. I like this. Here's a good atheist story. Atheists are nicer to Christians compared to the other way round if their religious identity is known, study finds. Shock and surprise. Shocked I am that atheists are nicer than Christians. So if you go to the original paper, it's in, where is this thing? Journal of Experimental Social Psychology. It's titled Generous Heathens, Reputational Concerns and Atheists' Behavior Towards Christians in Economic Games. It's written by Colleen Cowgill, Kimberly Rios, and Ayn Simpson. Here's the abstract. Ample research demonstrates that people are more pro-social towards in-group than out-group members, and that religious believers, e.g. Christians, tend to be more pro-social than non-believers, e.g. atheists, in economic games. However, we identify a condition under which in-group biases in such games are attenuated, focusing on pro-sociality among atheists. Specifically, we argue that atheists, but not Christians, experience unique reputational concerns due to stereotypes that their group is immoral, which in turn affect their behavior towards out-group partners. Across 3 studies, when participants in a dictator game believed their religious identity was known to their partner, atheists behaved impartially toward in-group and out-group partners, whereas Christians consistently demonstrated an in-group bias. Gee, not shocked by this at all. The effects of religious identity on allocations to the outgroup were partially mediated by concerns about being perceived negatively by others, and were eliminated by telling participants that their religious identity would be kept anonymous. Yeah. I'm not really shocked by these. he's finding.
Well, unfortunately, religion preaches us versus them, and I've sat in church and been told
it's tribalism.
that atheists are evil. Atheists are the cause of all the evil on the earth. They're easy scapegoats.
Yeah, well, it's accepting homosexuality which causes earthquakes and fires in California. Yeah. Even though those things have been going on for like millions of years.
I was even told in church, you don't be friends with atheists. You can be nice to them, but you don't be friends with them. And I'm sitting there as an atheist going, wow, you're fucked. Assholes.
Yeah. Christians consistently demonstrated an in-group bias. Lead author Colleen Cowgill told the SciPost news website that previous research had demonstrated that the general population in America tends to stereotype atheists as being immoral and untrustworthy. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
She added that many atheists found this reputation distressing. I don't find it distressing. I just get pissed off.
Yeah. It's like, thanks, you don't know me, but it's just as effective as holy water over a city to get rid of demons. It's just as effective, but they still do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're a scapegoat. Demons are a scapegoat. Like, they don't actually solve real problems because they're too busy easily blaming other things for the actual problems.
Demons. Like it's like the 12th century.
It's easier to pray than to fix something.
I find people that, when they say, I'll pray for you, it's very passive-aggressive virtue signaling. I mean, it's just don't do it.
Oh, you're an atheist? I'll pray for you.
Why did you feel the need to tell me you were going to pray for me? I mean, you could just go pray for me.
Yeah. But we gotta infer that you're evil and you need to be prayed for because you need to change.
It's just a virtue.
Just stop killing people, Randy.
Yeah, I'm Hitler.
Stop eating them damn babies.
She was, okay, so Calgo said, my primary interest was in how atheists themselves respond to these negative stereotypes. We often see that negative stereotypes about a group can lead members of that group to behave in compensatory ways that ostensibly seek to disconfirm that stereotype. Yeah, I think that's true. Such as when American immigrants strive to emphasize their American identity when it is threatened. We found in multiple studies that our atheist participants behaved more fairly towards partners they believed were Christian than our Christian participants behaved towards partners they believed were atheist. Whether this was specifically due to the wish to impress was not certain. It can be sometimes, I think. People want to do good things to show the religious that atheists do good things. I mean, I think that's a motivating factor on top of just the sake of doing good.
Well, and if you look at any atheist group, there's the Calgary atheist group. They advertise what good they're doing for the community if they do like a picking up garbage day and things like that.
The river cleanup, river bank cleanup.
They make it.
The effect was eliminated when participants were told their religious beliefs or lack thereof were being kept secret from their partners. Earlier this year, a study in Canada found a majority, 76% of people, did not believe being religious made someone a better citizen. It's about time. And more than half of those polled believed faith did more harm than good. Hey, so we're starting to finally... see the
people are finally starting to walk out of churches and
realizing
stop.
That, I think it's kind of an attrition thing that as the older generation dies off, they take that with them, and that the newer generation is a little. If
they haven't poisoned their own progeny.
Yeah, that's the other problem. I think you'll find that in rural Alberta.
That even Red Deer.
They're isolated, but the internet, I think, is having a big effect. I mean, it's been the most potent force for atheism so far.
Well, now people are starting to create bubbles on the internet, though. Now they can protect themselves from that information.
Yeah, that's true, because you watch what's the Christian version of Netflix? Pureflix, is it? Something like that. Yeah. So yeah.
They always have to intimate that they're better and more pure and more pious and better than everyone. Us versus them. That's the way to live. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Yeah.
That's how you create strife. I mean, look at Antifa. Boys.
Oh,
Christians, non-Christians. Like if you put that us
bubbled.
versus them component in there, there's gonna be problems.
Yep. And we come full circle. All right. That's all I got tonight.
No.
What do you mean? Oh, that's the shortest episode we've had in a long time.
Okay. Thank you.
I need to. Yeah. So we're gonna try and do this weekly. Come back to a weekly format because of the length. I need my sleep.
Yeah.
And
Especially
I also
on Sunday.
Yeah. And I need to. Sometimes I'm setting up the telescope and but I can't because of the freaking rain. It's been pissing me off.
Yes, it's been cloudy and rainy for weeks now. Every night for weeks. Yeah. It's good for the grass. It's beautiful. It's green. But
I've got my lawn is a mushroom farm.
The mushrooms celebrate. How about the mosquitoes?
No, I don't have that much of them.
Oh, you're lucky.
Pretty good
I can say Lethbridge has been taken over. Red Deer, not so bad either. But Lethbridge, with the increased water, is finally seeing a ton of mosquitoes.
That's a city in a more rural setting, I think. It's more...
Well, it's usually too dry for mosquitoes.
That's
so
true.
I think they've had a build-up of whatever mosquitoes do, hibernation of the eggs or something somewhere that are finally hatching.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see what happens with grasshoppers next.
Yeah. Oh, we should do a Where's Christine? Because I don't know where she is right now.
Why? What do you mean?
It'd be like, well, just there's not a lot of Christine sightings on here, so it's like, where's Christine instead of where's Waldo?
Oh yeah, well, I know she's coming back into the city tonight, and she said she was going to be in later, so I assume that she hadn't been.
So it's like, yeah, I miss her.
So yeah, well, she's traveling a lot these days,
which is not a bad thing.
No. And yeah, so if people like what they're listening to, share this. Feel free to share the either the YouTube or the Facebook post on this, or tell your friends and about we're on iTunes, and what else are we on? We're on a whole bunch of stuff. iTunes, Stitcher, pretty much all the major podcatchers, and share it. Yeah. So I guess it's time to go to bed.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.